Representative Carvajal didn't stay behind to attend today?
He's there in the back.
Is he? Like.
So. Oh, yeah. Yeah, he's in back of President Biden, so. Yeah, there was rumors that it was Biden
On the soundtrack.
That was Secret Service couldn't tell you that. They can't not confirm or deny.
See here. Okay, so it's now. So you're live.
Yeah, okay.
Let's see if I get independent tax candidates.
Figured that- that's-
Want to. Intern position.
Attorney, I hope that.
And you could do.
Well, batteries, yeah, you don't have a mic. Here, have this one.
She.
Yes, so I would say let's.
That's for the.
Okay.
That's joywithsequa.com.
Your concern of not having any candidates applying or eliminated before I even looked at any of those things. But yeah, I put one my guy.
Do you need a mic? Talk.
I also put it on. Very weird and that's. I guess that's. That goes through on that.
Go on, so.
A lot older than the last time I saw you.
A lot older.
Someone's doing it, says he's happening there.
Yeah, he's at Academy now. So
Good for him.
Yeah.
internship program here served him well.
That's well too.
You did a great job.
Yeah.
I wouldn't hire that kid again.
We upgraded your dad. I couldn't look you in the eye.
Everyone has to have a.
No.
So. Let's see here.
That kid was really good. Michael.
I'm holding up the meeting to say hi to Mr. Senko. I'm doing
With the terrorist. I gotta stop right there.
Well, I can't stand this. Take the break. Mayor, it's like he's ready. Going
Yeah, for those in the audience, if you recall, if you request to, if you want to speak on an item that's not on the agenda, there's a request to speak forms in the back. If it's on the agenda, you don't have to, you don't need to, well, it's best to do a request to speak on everything.
Right.
You think this Masuda can handle it?
I think so. I'm not young like my kid who can do all this stuff.
I don't.
You guys usually record too.
Yeah, we do,
Yeah, okay.
I think we have.
All right, so I'll go ahead and record. When you guys, let me know when you want me to start recording.
Another. You can start now.
Okay.
It's gonna be 6 o'clock and 10 seconds. Okay, welcome to the special meeting in the City of Guadalupe City Council and successor agency to the Guadalupe Redevelopment Agency Board meeting. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Christina Hernandez.
Yeah.
Councilmember Gilbert Rosas.
Present.
Mayor Pro Tem Eugene Costa Jr.
Here.
We have a vacant seat, Mayor Harrison Julian.
Here,
Thank you.
I'm here. Will you please stand with me and pledge allegiance? Ready? Begin.
I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. The next item is item 3 is which we call agenda review. So the council can look at the agenda to see if we want to move things around, and I requested a little bit of movement in some of the items, and we'll go through them. I'll just briefly go through them. We'll go, item 9 will be the city council vacancy. And you don't have to remember this, we tell you about it. And item 10 will be swearing in of newly appointed official. Item 11 will be the appointed official to be seated and given the opportunity to speak. Number 12 will be the resolution ratifying and proclaiming the existence of a local state of emergency. Number 13 will be emergency occupancy agreement for displaced residents. And I think 14 goes, I think we're back on schedule. 14 is appointment of council members to various boards. 15 is future agenda items, 16 announcements, 17 adjournment to successor agency, 18 is successor agency, and then 19 is adjournment. So our next item is the ceremonial calendar. And that's a proclamation, Human Trafficking Awareness Month. And I'll go ahead and read it. Is there somebody to receive this or no? Oh, that's okay. Proclamation. Whereas human trafficking is a form of modern slavery that occurs in every state, including California, wherein victims are forced to work in various forms of labor exploitation, including but not limited to commercial sex acts and other services that are induced through force, fraud, or coercion. And whereas due to its isolated and discrete nature, many individuals across the globe are unaware that trafficking exists in their communities. And whereas it's estimated that more than 28 million people around the world are victims of human trafficking. And whereas human trafficking victims face cruelty that has no place in the civilized world. It is a crime that can take many forms, and one that tears at our social fabric, debases our common humanity, and violates what we stand for as a country. And whereas increased education about how to identify human trafficking, along with increased knowledge of in-state resources and services for those affected by criminal exploitation, can help decrease the number of future victims. And whereas the Santa Barbara County Human Trafficking Task Force is committed to using all applicable laws and resources for investigating human trafficking and prosecuting those engaged in it. And whereas the County of Santa Barbara Human Trafficking Task Force has worked diligently to bring awareness to the fact that human trafficking occurs closer to home than one might think, that California ranks #1 in the country for reported human trafficking cases, and that Santa Barbara County is a home to hundreds of survivors of trafficking and exploitation. Whereas Human Trafficking Awareness Month is an opportunity to recognize the critical role of all Guadalupe residents that all Guadalupe residents play in preventing, reporting, educating these heinous crimes. Now therefore resolved by the virtue of authority vested in me as a mayor on behalf of the city of Guadalupe, I do hereby recognize January 2023 as Human Trafficking Awareness Month. So, thank you. And no one's here to receive this, please.
Sorry, Monroe County.
Oh, right,
Rights
okay.
is here.
All right, come on up, please.
Sorry, it's our first time here.
Okay, okay. We can go right over there.
Can you say your name too?
Rachel Hurt from the North County Risk Assessment Center. Okay. Bear with me.
No problem.
Good evening, Mayor Julian and members of City Council. Like I said, my name is Rachel and I'm the Counseling Services Advocate for the North County Rape Crisis Center and Child Protection. Our agency provides services in all the northern and mid Santa Barbara County. But tonight I come to you as a member of the Santa Barbara County Human Trafficking Task Force to bring your attention to the global and local crisis. January is Human Trafficking Awareness Month, and sadly, our pristine piece of heaven on earth is not immune to this terrible form of victimization. Human trafficking is an issue that is pervasive in our community, but few people talk about it. The County Human Trafficking Task Force was formed in 2013 because we realized that none of us can do this work in a vacuum, and we have to unite. We engage and rely on the expertise that each entity brings to the table. It is a true collaborative effort as we work to assess the scope of this problem locally, offer access to training opportunities, develop protocols, and improve law enforcement and victim service response. We are a group of organizations with the common goal of educating, intervening, and advocating and changing the landscape of human trafficking. So just how bad is it? Well, in my opinion, and I say this about any form of violence, one is too many, and human trafficking is a crime that knows no boundaries, and everyone, and I mean everyone, is at risk. In Santa Barbara County, since January 2017, there have been 243 new human trafficking investigations, with 217 new survivors having been identified. Of those, 27% have been minors, with an additional 33% being between the ages of 18 and 24. 42% were Santa Barbara residents prior to trafficking, and 91% were sex trafficking. Keep in mind that human trafficking is difficult to measure. Fear of harm to self or others, language barriers, lack of personal freedom, and fear of law enforcement often prevent victims from reporting of victimization or seeking services. So the number has the potential to be much higher. As a city council, you have taken this step by acknowledging the work with this population. But what now? Your work isn't done. Learn more, call us, and we'll provide you with more information than I can in 3 minutes. I have this for you. We love talking with people because honestly, we need you. Imagine how much stronger we are when we present an educated, uniformed front to fight this insidious form of violence. What if you knew what the red flags were and had the tools to act on them? What if you're able to confidently have conversations with young people to educate them as well? The Trafficking Task Force has a lot to offer, and we encourage each of you to visit our website of trafficstopsb.org to learn more. We'd also like to make you aware of an upcoming vigil being held on January 18th at 5:30 p.m. in De La Guardia Plaza. This vigil for freedom will shine an even greater light on our work and those who help. Thank you again for honoring each of us with this proclamation and for your work in our community to keep this issue on the forefront.
Thank you. Is this young lady, do you want to say something or?
That's more support.
Okay, good. Thank you for being here. Great job. Okay, the next item is community participation. And that's, I have Mr. Steve, you're on there's an agenda item for you, so you're, yeah, you got it. Albert, Mr. Albert Nunes.
Thank you for the opportunity to speak tonight. I'm here representing the Rancho de Guadalupe Historical Society to ask the City Council to support our application for the monetary reduction or waiver on our rental of the American Legion Hall in March. For a bit of history, we are the nonprofit association that curates our town's historical museum and staffed entirely by volunteers. Our doors stay open because of donations and various fundraising efforts throughout the year. For many years, we held a St. Patrick's Day spaghetti dinner. A few years ago, though, we had to switch to holding an annual treasure sale, selling items donated from our members and the public. Last year was a banner year. The treasure sale brought in $700. Now, this event consists of setting up tables in the hall and a few chairs for staff. And when we're done for the day, we put all the tables and chairs back ourselves. We sweep and dispose of any trash. Essentially, we have left the hall as clean or cleaner than we found it. This year, while applying to reserve the hall, we learned a few things. In addition to a new lock-in fee, a facility rental fee, there was a $500 cleaning fee for the hall. And the cleaning fee is based on the type of facility rather than the type of function. The Historical Society respectfully asks that the City Council consider either of these options regarding our rental application. To please consider grandfathering in our previous fee of $50, given the understanding that we will continue to display a pattern of responsible use, or consider waiving the cleaning fee altogether. Now, there may be some that ask, if the city were to do this for our group, would we have to do it for others? I would submit that each event, regardless of the group, is different in scope, needs, history, and pattern of behavior. A one-size-fits-all approach is not the only path, nor the most equitable. For example, an event with a food and a crowd of 100 is different than an event with a group of 10 people holding a meeting around a table, or an event like ours, with a few chairs, some tables, and some light foot traffic on an afternoon in March. Right now, the cleaning fee is the same for all these events because of the venue. The Historical Society has been a responsible presence in this city since 1989, and we have been part of the American Legion building since 2002. We hope to keep our event in the hall because of its proximity to the museum. But with a new lock-in fee of $100, the new facility rental fee of $50, and the cleaning fee of $500, minus the refundable amount, which we assume we would get back of $250, the total to use the hall is now $400 for our little event. And now our event may not be feasible to use the hall. And while we recognize the fiscal needs of the city and the necessary oversight required to ensure a well-maintained facility, our pattern of responsible use since we've held the event should ensure the hall will be well-maintained during and after our event. Further, I wholly encourage the City Council to revisit the fee schedule and how you approach the fees as they apply to a venue, to an event, to the people renting it. Consider a different approach. I hope the information I've shared is beneficial to any discussions on the matter. And I thank you for the opportunity to speak tonight.
When is the event?
March 18th. On the March 17th, we set up the tables. And it's for a couple hours, or excuse me, 3 hours. So
It's always a good event. You know, this is not an agenda item, so I would bring that back to Todd and to Hannah. And then work out an arrangement to where it makes everybody happy. So,
well, when I went to the Rex, Hannah's office, they asked me to bring the application here tonight to turn in, and also to speak to you as that the final decision rests with you.
well, it has to go back this way, but it's going to rest with Todd. That's my feeling. And because we can't take action on it.
You can't actually tonight.
There's
No, I understand.
There's time,
There's time, and I
Okay.
understand it, but
Okay.
we had to start the ball rolling.
There you go.
didn't we?
And it's rolling.
Okay. So does the application go to you or tomorrow?
You can bring it to Hannah.
To Hannah?
Or give it to her. She's gonna give it to you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Albert.
Thank you, Albert.
Any more requests to speak on the open items or unscheduled? The next item is consent calendar. The following items are presented to the city council for approval without discussion as single agenda item. Is there a council member that wishes to pull A, B, C, D, E, F, G, 1, 2, and 3? Go to my left. G, you good? I'm good. Gang 2, so we need a motion to approve a consent calendar in 6.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent calendar number 6.
I'll second. Any discussion? All those in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
All ayes, thank you. All right. Now, city administrative report, Mr. Webb.
Yes, thank you, Mayor and Council, staff. I'll keep it real short because I know that there's a lot on the agenda tonight. Just want to let you know that the recent event, the storm event, staff has really learned a lot following up on that, and I'm sure there'll be more discussion on that going forward. So I just that's all I have to say. And there's a report from me in the council packet. If you have any questions on that, just feel free to ask.
And that package is on our web, plus it's on the.
Yeah.
Okay. Any question from the council? Okay, next item, Director of Public Safety, Chief Ash.
Yes, just give a quick update on the flooding issue. On Monday night, around 9 o'clock PM, we had a flooding that occurred on the 800 block of Pioneer Street. As far as the water came from the river area, the Santa Maria River area. It impacted all the homes within the 800 block of Pioneer Street. At that time, the fire department, Santa Maria, and the county came. They evacuated all the residents down the street, so we had approximately 50 residents that were evacuated. We got there, made an assessment of the debris as far as the problems that were occurring. And by 11 AM, we decided to.
PM.
11 PM, I apologize. We decided to turn the City Hall auditorium into a shelter. Because we did not have any transportation, all their vehicles were underwater. I tell you that was some real heroes. That was the people that were affected. Approximately out of that 50 or so, over 20, we walked from there over to City Hall. And I appreciate the mayor and let you know, and next thing you know, you just kind of showed up at the scene. And we definitely appreciate that. So with our minimal amount of people here we had at that time, we were able to open up a shelter at City Hall. We had cots, blankets. We're able to take care of the people. We had food. We stayed overnight to make sure that they were safe and secure. And then the cleanup started taking place the following day. And the whole city really got behind this. The senior center, we had the chefs over there, we're making food. We're still getting donations from all across, not only just Guadalupe, but the county. We've been in contact with the Emergency Operations Center in Santa Maria or in Santa Barbara. They've helped with the mayor and council. We had public officials, and I think you can speak better to that eventually. But we have our Emergency Operations Center was going, and I appreciate Todd put together all of our directors. We all came together and discussed what was going on and our best course of action. So with that, we are slowly moving ahead. We still have all our citizens. They're now in temporary housing, and I'd like to thank the gentleman who really reached out to kind of help that so that we can have our people out the street. So as we continue, we're working to put the paperwork together. So right now we're in the transition of making sure we're in recovery, make sure everyone's there. We've cleaned up the street. We've got trash cans out there, so that's looking good. We have FEMA, they'll be coming down tomorrow. Still making that assessment. They're gonna try to turn this into a federal disaster, which we're really hoping for. That will assist with the funds. With that, we have some long-term problems. Will be an after action report, but we're also looking at the things that we did as a city and how we can really improve. But the response was there from our employees, our citizens, and from outside, which was there was a lot of valor, and we really appreciate that. So if you want to add to that, Mr. Mayor, you've been here as long as I have for the last 7 days on the ground. So that's my report.
I think there's quite a few people in the audience that that were involved with it, but I would hope, we have a large agenda, but unless there's someone that wants to speak about that right now, we need basically a full report on one of our future agendas to where we can actually lay out everything that happened and then do basically a debriefing and then the future plans for emergency preparedness, because we're not prepared for emergencies of this type or any type. I don't know if there's anybody who wants to speak for that right now, but we've got an agenda item that may come up, it's coming up, item 12 and item 13. But if there's anybody who wants to speak on what Chief just mentioned, it's an ongoing process. What's happened, we met today, and I'll briefly say that, we met today with Carbajal, the county officials, Steve Lavanino, City of Santa Maria folks were here too, the city staff was here to talk about the next steps, and Carbajal explained the process in terms of where we are. I know that Biden basically designated 3 counties up north as disaster areas, and they're going to get full support in terms of from FEMA side. So now going down to the state of California, they're looking at different sites to where they can actually bring those into fold, including Santa Barbara County. So by the end of this week, we should know if that's going to happen, which then we'll start reimbursing. So everybody out there, take your receipts and make sure you have those receipts, because when FEMA comes in and says that it's a goal, that it's going to be reimbursed expenses. So
Just one, well, okay, just one last item. Just one of the biggest issues we have here in the city is our communication, really getting the word out. And we have an emergency alert system that pages and emails. When this thing started, we had 49 citizens throughout Guadalupe that were on it. I just checked prior to coming here, we're now up to 138. So if this word gets out, please tell your friends, go on the city website and log into there so you can get the information we're sending out of road closures, rain, weather, whatever kind of problems that are occurring. People complain, they like to know what's happening. That's where you can find out.
there's a hand up, 2 hands up.
I was just gonna briefly say, can we get that included in the next order? Oh,
Yeah.
sorry.
Yeah, okay.
I know even myself wasn't aware of that system, and this brought it to the forefront, and we were sharing information. I'm just wondering if that would be useful to have it in the next water bill for citizens, to actually have the information so they can sign up.
Yes,
It is a
ma'am.
useful
We can do
tool.
that.
There's a survivor.
Yeah, I just want to say, I have to commend the city, the sheriff department, fire department. My son is disabled. And they came and checked on us about 15 times. Luckily for me, no water got inside my home. The rest of the land and property was a mess, but no water got inside the house. But they came and they checked and they checked and they made sure they know my son will be called every 15 minutes. But the city, they did a fantastic job. They were there right on the spot. They checked on the people. I saw the chief walking folks, just taking them by the arm and walking, and the water was coming so fast, and people didn't know what to do. Their cars were up on the sidewalk. And it was just, but the main thing that got to me was nobody panicked. Everybody was kind of like, okay, let's get this done. They were cool, calm, collected. They checked on us the next day. The big fans were there immediately. They fed us. Marcus at the senior center is awesome. He really kicked in. Trevor and I were cleaning up, and they said, hey, take Everett over to the senior center and let him sit there. So Guadalupe is just awesome. I really appreciate all the time and effort and the energy that everybody put into that. It was really fantastic. Yeah, I appreciate it.
Okay, thank you. Right.
I think we had one more.
I'm sorry, is there another,
I think we have one more in the back.
there's a,
Lenny?
he's one of the volunteers out there that barbecued with the Knights of Columbus.
Evening, city council and citizens of Guadalupe. I just want to say that this was a wake-up call that, the chief, Harrison, people that I know that were there. My wife and some of the citizens come in today to, thank everybody that was there. But it's a rude awakening to, hey, if we have a major disaster that's gonna happen here in Guadalupe. Not when or if, and it will happen someday with the earthquakes and stuff, we don't know. But it's something to get organized as a city community. Nonprofit organizations and outside help as far as Red Cross, Salvation Army, that all were there to help out and feed people. You know, if we get cut off, can't count on the county or anybody else. But it's something that was a rude awakening for us, and thank you all that helped out and I was there. And for the ones that weren't there, you gotta step up. This is your community. But thank you very much for everything.
Thank you, Lenny. Thanks for being out there too. Okay. Any more hands out there anymore? All right. We'll go to item 12. Let's see. Nope, back. Where am I? Item 9, city, no, where am I?
Item 9, go to 11.
Okay, city council vacancy. My own notes I can't even read. Go ahead.
Oh, thank you, Mayor and Council. As you know, Councilmember Ramirez submitted a letter of resignation to the city clerk on October 25th, 2022. He specified the date of his resignation as of November 29th, 2022. We have until the 28th of January to appoint somebody. Council decided to go through that process. So here we are today. We solicited, we received 5 applicants. Since that time, 2 have dropped out, and we are left now with 3 that are sitting here to be interviewed today. And so we have an interview process. City staff has asked each of the above applicants, which would be Courtney. I need your last name pronunciation. I apologize for that. Casney, Clemente Marino, and Megan Lizaldi. So we've allowed the council, and it's up to you to agree to this, 15 minutes with 5 minutes of extra time for a total of 20 minutes for this interview process. And I just assume you'd want them at the podium to stand there.
And I would think that if they need to put out 15 minutes, and that's fine. I think it's up to them. But in terms of the selection of the question, we need a system that is going to be true throughout the three candidate discussion. So we have the interview questions attachment 1.
Yep, so you have the 7 that were dialed down from the 15, but we included the 15 if you have any tangent questions after that. But initially, I guess staff took from the 15 to consolidate them to the 7 that we thought you'd be good for you to interview with, and also attached to the letters of interest.
Okay, and I think that if one of the comments spur another comment that we want to get to, that we should be able to do that. So let's start.
Okay, so the first person, Courtney.
Thank you, Courtney.
One more thing before I start, MEC, the environmental company, they were fantastic too. I forgot to mention that.
Were they the ones next door to you? Or?
Yeah, but they
Okay.
came and they're working the whole street down. Yeah, they're working the whole street down.
Well, thank you for being here. I know it's you probably had some sleepless nights, but
Yeah, but it takes your mind off of the trauma.
okay, there you go. Welcome.
Thank you.
Let's go ahead and start with Gil and put him on the spot in terms of questions. Go ahead and fire up the question.
And the questions are in your packet if you want to go off them.
I'll start.
I got you back.
Please describe how you would like the city of Guadalupe to look in 5 years, and what does the city need to do in order to achieve this vision?
What number is that?
That's 3 on of the 7 questions.
have a different. In 5 years, I think that that whole area in front of Pasadena should be filled with stores and businesses. You know, individual businesses, big businesses. I've been thinking about this since I put in my letter of intent for the council position that this is such a lovely place. It's such a jewel, diamond in the rough and a well-kept secret. But we have space and we can attract new business. I thought about in Santa Maria, Walmart put 3 stores, the one big store and the 2 neighborhood stores. And I was thinking, why in the world would they put one in Guadalupe? You know, so I was thinking about Amazon. There's no Amazon anywhere near here. It doesn't have to be a big, huge store. It could be a smaller, you know, transit station. I mean, you know, there's so many opportunities and so many different things. There's a young lady who started her gym this morning to see what was going on. She's up and running and excited about it. So the opportunity is here. It's just for us to talk. We as city council members, people who live in the area, we have to talk it up. We have to let them know we're here, we're open. We got, you know, let them know we got to speak up because businesses come because people are excited about it. We want to get, you know, they want to know, you know, that we have the space and we can take it. They can start to put their business here. But we want to also protect the smaller mom and pop stores and restaurants and things that are here as well. It's a sprawling community. If you look at Arroyo Grande, they have a lot of restaurants and every other business is a restaurant, but they all seem to be thriving. It's a walking little town, that street you can walk. And I think we can do that here. I went to Monterey for New Year's weekend. And I was just looking at, it was just 2 streets. And even though it was raining, they had concerts, they had restaurants, they had vendors out in the street. They had all this stuff that was just happening and people were excited and people were there. And it reminded me of our little section of Main Street. And I'm thinking to myself, why can't we do this? We should be able to do this. Jazz concerts, you know, different kind of, you know, mariachi concerts, whatever people are interested in. There's a different space for each thing. So I was just thinking about all the stuff that could happen. And that's what I'd like to see happen in the next 5 years.
Thank you. Who's next?
Courtney, off the top. These, can you name 3 qualities a council member should have?
Council members should be honest, have integrity, and be flexible. This is a position where you have city's fate in your hands, and you can't be hot-headed, you can't be in and this is what I want, this is what I want, this is what, you have to look at the whole picture. You have to see what's best for the city. And it may not be, you know, my first choice or somebody else's first choice, but you have to be open to look at what's best for the community. So I think that's the main thing, but you need to be honest and you need to be open and you need to be realistic about what can happen.
Thank you.
Christina.
Okay.
There you go.
Okay. Hello, what is the role of a council member as it relates to fellow council members, community and staff?
Say that one again.
Number 2, what is the role of a council member as it relates to fellow council members, community and staff?
The role of the council member is to make decisions with the group decisions for the city. As far as staff, you need to be respectful, you need to respect their opinions, you need to listen to them, you need to listen. We need to support each other. We need to pay attention to each other. And again, we need to take it off, it's not me, you need my agenda, what I want to push. You need to figure out what is best for the city, what will benefit all the residents.
Gene?
Can you please provide a summary of your background, including community participation that makes you the best candidate for the job?
Community participation, ever since I moved here, I've been at the meetings, because I wanna know what's going on, I wanna know how y'all spending my money, what's happening, what I can get involved in, you know, who's run, I wanna meet people, I wanted to meet. And this is, I lived in Goleta before I came here, I went to a couple of the meetings, but I have to say, when I came here, everyone was so friendly, and that's what I like about a small town, you know, small town atmosphere, everybody knows each other, you know. You'll see the police chief or the mayor works in the bank. Who does that? You know, that doesn't happen in larger places. You know, people might show up for a photo op or something, but the mayor is there, he's giving it, you see the police chief, you see the councilman, I told you to all the time, the basketball game. So, you know, you can get involved. It's a close knit, small town.
That makes you the best candidate for the
Okay,
job.
so I volunteer for, I do the election. I work the election. I volunteer for community partners in caring. I'm a CASA, court appointed special advocate for children. I kind of just jump in, you know, she had a function for the veterans, Christmas. Just got there, we all just brought the family and just, whatever you need, what do we need to do? Let's just, we were chopping ribs. I mean, you know, I just like to get involved. I just like to be a part of it because it's such a special place, a good community. And you know, you can't just talk about it, you have to be about it. I show up.
Thank you.
I'm pulling one from the other, it's basically on the, when you see 5 years, but if selected, what would be your top priorities?
I looked at that question and the top priority that I've noticed from sitting in the audience is we need to attract business. We need to attract other types of business. We need to attract all types of business. We need to be out there. We got to talk them up. The other thing is, as a city council member, your responsibility to the community is if they email you or they call you or they see you on the street, you gotta answer them. You gotta talk to people. People won't know if you don't share the information with them. So those are the main two things, I think. The rest of it to me can be learned. I can learn, you know, what the budget is and the tax list and that, I can learn all that stuff. But you have to have people skills. You have to want to help. And I want to help.
What brought you to Guadalupe?
I moved to Guadalupe because of living in Goleta. I lived in a 4-apartment complex. The owner sold it to one of those conglomerates or group of people. The rent was going to go from $1,800 to $3,900 for a 2-bedroom, one bath apartment. And then they said, well, I'll pay you, we'll pay you to move. So I was able to stay a year because of COVID. And then I've been in this area since 2017. And every time I looked for a spot, Guadalupe popped up. There was never anything available, but I always said, Guadalupe. So finally, when it was time for me to move, the place where I live popped up. And just to tell you how strange it was, the realtor said, when I saw it, it was what I had been approved for. I said, oh, go ahead and call him about that. She called me back. She said, oh, somebody already put a bid on it. It's gone. I said, no. Just keep a watch on it. 2 weeks later, it came up. I put in my bid and I had to wait like 9 months for everything to get going. But guess what? I moved up here in October. I started work at the new, I worked for the sheriff's department. I started work in October 18th and I closed October 19th. Yeah. So it's meant for me to be here.
Do you have any questions of us?
No, I just, I'm excited. I hope you choose me. I really want to make an impact in the city. I think you guys are great. Christina, I haven't gotten to know you, but Well, either way, but thank you guys very much.
Other questions, council? Good.
Thank you for your
Thank
interest.
you, thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate you. And good luck with your, okay.
Next up is Clemente Marino.
Hello, everyone. My name is Clemente Moreno, and I'm excited about this interview.
Excellent. Welcome.
Welcome.
You ready to go?
Sure. Let's go with number one. Please provide a summary of your background, including community participation that makes you the best candidate for the job.
So I think with my experiences in education, I've been an educator for 22 years. And also 16 of those years I've been a coach football and wrestling. And so just having that experience working with people, being able to problem solve, and I'm from a community that's very similar size to Guadalupe that I came from. And just seeing all the things that were working for them and just trying to take some of that and bringing it over here. What was the rest of the question? Best candidate?
Yeah.
Makes you the best, yes.
Okay, so currently right now I'm working at McKinsey Intermediate. I'm dealing with 280 members of the community every week. I have the privilege of being the PE teacher for the 5th, 6th graders. And firsthand, I'm like, wow, okay, these kids are just so full of energy. So I get a chance to educate them on health and just be a mentor and guide them throughout the day. And then that just, for me, it's a reflection of the students, a reflection of the parents. I see so much resiliency. So I know this town has just great members. I'm just excited to be part of it. Oh, sorry, and then funny thing, I have one question. Although I've only been in the community not a very long time, I do want to add that I've been involved in other communities and building up other farm working communities, and so that experience, and I ask that you take that consideration, that body of work into consideration, because I'm going to take all that hard work, all that work ethic, and all the experiences, and bring them over here.
One question to that, since you were there, were any of the students that were affected by the flood identified at the school?
Not that I know of yet. My second day, which just became last week, and then,
Okay.
and so I haven't had a chance to
Okay,
speak
yeah,
on that yet.
just started.
I know there's been some staff, and so we got together with the 6th grade teacher and we helped pitch in for them, help them out.
Jade, you got a question?
In your opinion, what are the qualities a council member should have?
Trustworthy. You gotta be trustworthy. I have a couple friends that did some correction officers, and they said the number one reason you get fired is for being less than truthful. And I think that should hold for everybody. You have to be, somebody that people, you're loyal, that they can rely on you. They know that your word is your word, and just being that, I think that holds really strong. So trustworthy is one of them. The other one is compassion. You have to have compassion for people, understand what they're going through. You can't just say, oh, that person, let's write that person off because of this. You have to think about what are they going through, what situations are happening. So think about, have compassion for people, and then from there, try to figure out how you can help them. And the last one is be proactive. One thing is to say, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that, but you gotta roll up your sleeves and you gotta get in there, and it sounds like a lot of community members are doing that, so that's really awesome to hear. But just getting in there and once you're a council member, say, okay, now I'm gonna take the issues that are brought at hand and what are we gonna do with them? How are we gonna help people? There's a big picture to look at, and I know with everything going on, the budget and everything, what can we do to help those people?
Please describe how you would like the city of Guadalupe to look in 5 years, and what does the city need to do in order to achieve this vision?
So I took a chance to look at the budget, all 87 pages, and I was like, wow, no way. Like, you're making living out. Yeah, it's, I see it and I'm saying, well, you guys definitely have your work out. It's just a lot going on, and it was very overwhelming, and definitely trying to be on the positive side of the budget, because you see all the expenditures for this year, and then you see the revenue coming in, you're like, okay, let's figure out things to make this work. So that'd be one thing. See, be on the positive side of the budget. Restore building and businesses throughout downtown. More community events. I like to see more community events. Just that's one thing we had at Arkham. We got a lot of community events. Everybody's involved. Just maybe bi-weekly or just different things, and just being able to get the community involved and buying into that. one thing I'm big on is education. I know a big population of it is young, so I feel like I'm trying to do my part right now at the elementary, getting those kids going. But being able to maybe start some adult education classes for parents, citizenship classes, that'd be so huge. It opens so many doors for the community here, getting that citizenship for them and definitely volunteer to teach those if needed. So yeah, just getting that going is one thing I want to see the next 5 years. A lot of times we get off in Pismo, people get off in Pismo, go to Pismo, and then they'll jump back on the 101 and head out Santa Barbara. I want it to be where people get off on Pismo and continue down the 1, get to Guadalupe, look forward to all the nice restaurants we have, all just I want to beautify Guadalupe. I want to be part of beautifying Guadalupe and just seeing all the businesses restored. We have to have, you know, businesses open throughout, and I think that's a huge part. I want to see, I know people talk about, I talked to some community members and they said 40 years ago, there was rarely a business that wasn't open. It was just awesome to see. That'd be awesome to see Guadalupe back like it was in its heyday. So just seeing that and is one top priority I'd like to see in 5 years.
How long have, first of all, how long have you been in Guadalupe, and how would you connect with the constituents?
So I got here in July, and so my situation was, my daughter's at UCSD, so I wanted to be closer to my granddaughter, and so we said, okay, let's get up and go, and we took a drive. We were like, wow, Rancho, this like I heard earlier, this was a treasure. This is something that's been discovered. I looked at this town, I was like, oh, this is such a little awesome town, so close to the beach, the people. I grew up, my dad came over in 1972 from Mexico, so I'm just got so much familiarity when I came over here. And so just being here, that was one thing I said, I want to make sure I'm involved. I'm sorry, can you repeat the rest of the question? I got a little off.
Yeah, just how would you connect with your constituents? You know, it's a different program, the different, like this lady.
Yeah,
to do
so again, definitely, being able to, go be involved in the community, walk around town, talk to people. I'm already connecting a lot with the constituents through work. I volunteered at basketball games. I've also gone, I was part of the family movie night at the McKenzie School, volunteered for that. And so just being able to go out there and not only just hear the people, connect with them, but follow through, like say, okay, this is what we're asking. Well, let's take it to the next step and bring it to you guys. Roll up my sleeve and get involved in you know, whatever it takes to, you know, serving at a dinner or just definitely just showing by action, being proactive.
Any other question, Gil? Gene, you got to go.
If selected, what will be your top priorities?
So I think definitely one of the things that stands out to me is we can start with just basically fundraising. I think there's lots of different things. I heard Gentlemen's Historical Society talking about how we was able to raise $700. Just continue building upon that. Look for more ideas, more fundraisers to help that going. Grant writing is huge. I seen when I looked at the budget, I saw all different grants and that was awesome. But let's not stop there. Let's keep going. There's so many more grants we could tap into that I have experience with, and I could just keep going with that and getting more grants for the city and being able to just use all the possible resources to get this town going again and get it back on the map. So that would be one of the biggest things, would be fundraising. And again, developing programs to help educate everybody and just giving everybody a voice. And so that would be top priority here.
Any other questions? Do you have questions of us?
No questions. I just thank you for this opportunity and just to know that I'm here long term, so I'm going to continue. No matter, I hope you choose me, but I'm going to continue building from here and just continue being a part of the community and that I love, and I'm happy to be here.
Okay, welcome to Guadalupe. Thank you for being here.
Thank you, Clemente.
Thank you.
The next person, Megan Mazaldi.
Hey, everyone. Hi, everyone.
Megan.
Hello, can you guys hear me okay? Good. Things are so intimidating. Too close, too far, too close. All right, I'm ready to be in the hot seat. Hit me.
Go ahead, Gilbert, give her the first shot.
Let's start from the backside. Describe Do you have any experience in budgeting and have you ever taken a look at the city's 22-23 budget?
So yes, I did look at the 22-23 budget. A little bit on my background. I worked for the county of Santa Barbara for a little over 15 years. Managed several different smaller budgets, obviously not a full city budget, throughout my time there. I was also the interim treasurer for the city from 2017 to 2019, when Patrona Amito had to step down for health reasons. So that would be just a brief overview of experience, and I hope that encapsulates the question.
Very good, thank you.
You're welcome.
Please describe how you would like the city of Guadalupe to look in 5 years, and what does the city need to do in order to achieve this vision?
So I have been a lifelong resident. I'm 38 years old. I've seen various stages of the city through good times and bad. And I'm so grateful for the potential. As our new residents have said, this is a diamond in the rough. I grew up hearing that every day. I knew Guadalupe was special from the day I was born. We're in the middle of California. We have amazing weather. We're close to the beach. What I would like to see is more modeling of Oro Grande in the village, incorporating those storefronts, the mom and pops, the boutiques. I think we're coming off of a really difficult, challenging time with COVID. I think all cities and various entities really struggled coming off of that. It sort of halted a lot of things that we had in progress as a city, which was really exciting, such as grants for parks, more engagement with the community and parks and recs. So I see immense potential. I think community engagement is really important. I think bringing in those businesses and those storefronts, I would really like to see that happen in the next couple of years to really capture some revenue and some traffic. I'd also like to see more grant writing, a real focus on trying to pull in revenues because we are sort of teetering fiscally again. And so I'd like to really be strong moving forward and fiscally sound. Now that's challenging, right? It means you have to say no to things that you ideally would really love to happen right now. But I think being fiscally sound and sort of having that scope of view is really important moving forward to make those things happen.
Thank you.
What is the role of a council member as it relates to fellow council members, community and staff?
Can't hear the question.
Sorry about that.
There you go.
Okay, what is the role? Oh, what did I read?
Read them all.
Number one, what is the role of a council member as it relates to fellow council members, community and staff?
Right, so how I view the role of the council member is really to be a liaison from city staff to community, to represent the constituents, your peers and each other in a respectful manner, and to really represent the community when you're in that role. And that liaison part is part of being that respectful communicator with both the staff and the community members and the council members.
How would you and how do you connect with constituents? Can you explain some of your experiences to me?
Sure. So I grew up here. I went to school here. My neighbors are also my family members, my friends, as in family members, my children go to school here. I also work at the elementary school now. After my time with the county, when COVID hit, I really focused on staying home more with my children and decided to take a position at Mary Buren. So I actually see every Mary Buren student in the library each week. And so connecting with them, I feel like every day I'm connecting with my community. I'm seeing my neighbors, I'm seeing people that I don't know, but I know their children. They tell me about how home is and what they like to do. And they're new here, they're not new here, and I know their siblings. So I think having that first-hand knowledge and experience working with the community, both in person, but also in the background. So volunteering for Guadalupe Youth Football, supporting my kids in their sports, donating money, buying barbecue tickets, being there to drop off salads, being there to make the plate. I've done all that and I enjoy doing that. And I was raised with that sort of giving heart and making sure you're there to support your community wherever they're at and whatever they need. So I would continue to do that whether I was a council member or not.
I asked a question, last gentleman, in terms of, have you talked to or seen anybody that was impacted by the flood at the school? Have you?
Yes. We have several students that were impacted. Some were able to return home. I just spoke to a student today and was checking in with him. And he said he was able to go home. So I don't know where he was at on the street, that his residence was, he was able to return. We also have 2 students that did let me know that they haven't gone to go back and they are.
Any other questions? Go ahead, please.
What do you think is the most important role that city council members play?
I think if there's an immense opportunity to communicate and advocate, to communicate with the middle. So your mom and pop that are going to work in the morning, coming home late, trying to feed their kids, trying to pay their bills. You kind of need to be the person that comes and brings the information to them. They don't have time to come to the meetings, even though they think it's important and it's valued. Yeah, unfortunately, it's not a priority. And so being able to sort of relay that information, share that information in whatever format is easier for them, I feel would be a priority for me in making those connections and helping share that information as a council member.
If selected, what will be your top priority?
I hear you.
I hear you.
If selected, what would be your top priorities?
I think obviously number 1 is the budget, being fiscally sound, making really important decisions in the next year and trying to capture new revenue. And then, of course, I think the other part is really engaging with homeowners and business owners to invest in what we have. We have so many wonderful opportunities here, but I think that engagement piece really needs to be there, and having those discussions of what it would take to bring homeowners and business owners to the table and say, what is it going to take to help you see that we need to work together so all of our values go up? The town as a whole works together to prosper and work collaboratively. That would be my major.
Thank you.
Any other questions from the council? Todd, any comments on the process?
No, I mean, I'm thinking that maybe you might want to deliberate and
Go ahead.
discuss. I don't have any other questions. You really asked a lot of great questions.
What we should do is actually increase our council membership to 7, and at least 2.
There you go.
You know, the quality of you 3 individuals that have showed up is just really amazing. And we need that ability to think forward. Where you see Guadalupe as, some of you, and all of you see it as a place that is unlike any other community in the area, so. Deliberation, we don't have a score sheet in terms of numbers. Put everybody in the spot.
I'm in uncharted territories. Yeah, this is the first time I've ever doing this. I'm not sure how we.
Maybe we should, how about if we run through a list with the council and talk about it? Go ahead.
In terms of, oops.
Yeah, who you want, so,
Okay,
and then we
so
could go back and forth,
I'm actually a little bit confused as to what you want to do.
Okay, we have a number. So somebody write down, we have a checklist.
You want to do a matrix?
A check, yes, I have a
Okay.
checklist of the 3, and we got 4 people that are select to see if we come up with a consensus.
Okay, how many voted for Courtney?
Well, I'm talking about everyone.
I'm sorry if I'm a little bit,
Okay.
I'm
I'm just
misunderstanding.
doing that, just an actual paperwork, just going through. Well, that's another one. You could just put the names down,
All right,
just follow what you were just saying.
okay, so how many for Courtney? I'm sorry if I'm,
No, that's fine.
maybe you can.
That's,
Sorry to reiterate it. I'm not
yes,
sure.
that's both. Who do we want?
I don't think this is the vote. I
No,
think
it's
you're
not the
just
vote,
trying to
but
see
you're just trying to-
who supports
We're
who.
looking at a consensus.
Yeah, and then the vote will come later once you had a chance to narrow, maybe narrow it down.
Well, you mentioned Courtney. And
Yeah.
was there hands raised for?
Yeah, just a consensus, I guess, for now.
Let's go to the next person.
Is there consensus on Clemente Marino? One for Gilbert. Is there consensus for Megan Rizaldi?
I would like to, hear more from Clemente and Miguel.
Do you want to hear them?
Yeah, are we gonna ask more questions or just?
We're voting right now. so-
Okay, okay, then yes, I will stick with Megan.
Megan?
3 for Megan.
So. Yeah, based on the consensus of council, it looks like you made a choice. We need a motion. And then that will do it.
Is there a motion to approve, the selection of Megan?
I motion to, elect Megan Rizaldi for the vacant council member seat.
Is there a second?
I second.
Any discussion? I do. It's tough. You know, this is a 2-year term. And I think that, in 2 years, there will be several, there will be vacancies, there will be another voting process. And in those 2 years, I think that there'll be well-seasoned Clemente and a man here. I just applaud you for putting your hat in the ring, because it's a tough one, and it's not an easy task. And you'll find that as we move forward through the agenda for the rest of the term of 2 years, so. Any other discussion? Those, okay.
I just want to say, thank you to all 3 of you who come for the interview and everything. I'll be honest, at one point, I myself was in your guys' shoes trying to get there's a vacant spot to be appointed when Chief Tucker passed away. And I waited, and then I finally ran, and the community members, voted me in and stuff, so. Look at that for, like Mayor Julian said, in 2 years, it's only a 2-year term that it's being filled, and, pull papers and run. I think we'll have a couple of seats open then. I know, so, but thank you guys.
My last comment is, and Courtney has been here every meeting, and is not afraid to challenge us, which is great. Again, I wish there was 7 positions here in Clemente. Your experience, I don't know where you came from. I don't know if it's Valley or wherever you came from, but you can feel the heart that you've got for your community and a community like Guadalupe, and you're still going to be an asset no matter where you're sitting or where you're coaching from. So keep things going. We're going to see more of you. So all those in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. 3 ayes. What's your?
Aye.
4 ayes. Okay. The motion passed. Welcome, Megan Rizaldi for. You gotta come up here. First of all, you gotta get sworn in. What's that?
Let's do it right.
Yeah.
Is there another mic?
Official.
Yes, come on. Get closer, can you see that far? You can't see that far.
Don't you get fired?
Thank you.
This is the oath of affirmation of allegiance for the public officers and employees. The execution of the oath is required by Article 20, Section 3 of the Constitution of the State of California. Raise your right hand, please. And repeat after me. I, state your name,
Megan Rizaldi,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
or affirm
that
that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States
I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of California
and the Constitution of the State of California
against all enemies,
against all enemies,
foreign and domestic,
foreign and domestic,
that I will bear true faith
that I will bear true faith
and allegiance to the Constitution of the United States
and allegiance to the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of California,
and the Constitution of the State of California,
that I take this obligation freely
that I take this obligation freely
without mental reservation
without mental reservation
or purpose of evasion,
or purpose of evasion,
that I will well and faithfully
that I will well and faithfully
discharge the duties upon which I am about to enter.
discharge the duties of which I am about to enter.
Congratulations, Megan.
Yep, you have to sign.
My life away. Is this a
Yep.
check?
Yeah, it's
That was not part of my deal. Let's see. Great.
If I can say one thing.
Please, you can say as many things as you want.
I want to say thank you for those that came in. I really do appreciate it, and I hope that we can continue to move forward and work together for our community. And I look forward to seeing both.
Yeah, I would also like to thank the other two candidates,
You're not going very far. are we?
Yeah, you're not.
Oh, okay.
Courtney, thank you for
Yes, Courtney.
Amanda, thank you for the interest.
It's just the agenda.
Yeah.
All right.
Oh.
Thank you.
You're not up, it's not up council yet. That little
Oh.
button right there.
Yes.
Push it, and that's going to turn up here. Hold it down, hold it down. There you go. You have the opportunity to speak a little bit, to say a few words if you care to.
Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
I'll be very brief. It's a full agenda. I really want to thank the council members for trusting me to fulfill this for 2 years. I appreciate it. I hope that I can represent Guadalupe in a really positive way and fulfill this 2-year term and keep us moving forward. And I want to thank the other candidates that came. I was so impressed and so grateful for the heartfelt response as a community member. I'm so grateful to get to work with you. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Okay, thank you. Okay, we'll go to item 12. Resolution ratifying and proclaiming the existence of a local state of emergency, item 9. Which is from item 9, so. Okay.
Okay, this is working. All right. Mr. Mayor, members of the city council. Sorry. In anticipation of severe weather, Governor Newsom had declared a state of emergency in California on January 4th. Throughout the whole state. The federal government, after the rain started after that date, the federal government also declared emergency for the state of California, although the Central Coast was not included in that initial declaration. But after the severe rains and that occurred on January 9th, the President Biden amended the emergency declaration to include Santa Barbara County. During the afternoon of January 9th, the County of Santa Barbara Executive Officer / Director of Emergency Services, Mona Miyasato, issued a proclamation of local emergency in the County of Santa Barbara. And during that evening, the Director of Public Safety, Chief Cash, had reported to staff and the council that the City of Guadalupe Public Works Director had ceased public transportation due to the storm, and that a number of public facilities have been adversely impacted. There was flooding, and the personnel, Public Works and Recreation Parks Department personnel were moving debris from City of Guadalupe streets. And then, as Chief Cash reported earlier during his report, that there was flooding in the area of Lower Pioneer Street, and the residents had to be evacuated from their homes. About 20 were evacuated to the City Hall auditorium. And this continued into the early morning of January 10th. Later that afternoon, with all this information, well, I forgot previously, the beginning of the night before January 9th, there was some discussion, staff level, the mayor was involved, of canceling the public meeting that was the regular city council meeting that was scheduled for January 10th. That presented a bit of a problem because you can't just cancel a public meeting because of inclement weather. There's not really any, I was asked to look at to research how to go about doing it, and the Brown Act really only provided one way which was to let the meeting come to order, basically not hold it if there was a lack of quorum. And staff thought that that was not the best way to proceed, given that people would have to travel through this dangerous conditions to get to the meeting, only to find out that it wasn't going to happen. So after some research and review, using the authority of chapter 2.32 of the Guadalupe Municipal Code, city administrator, who's also the director of emergency services, decided to declare a local emergency based on the previous declarations of public emergencies from the federal, state, and county governments. So in the afternoon, Mr. Bowden, in the afternoon of January 10th, Mr. Bowden issued a proclamation of existence of local emergency, citing citing the facts that I had previously presented. And all that resolution also canceled the city council meeting. The proclamation also canceled the city council meeting. The city council has to, under the provisions of chapter 2.32, the city council has to ratify the director of emergency services decision to declare the local emergency within 7 days. Today is the 7th day from the date he declared it. So that's what staff is asking the council to do. Ratifying the local emergency will make it possible for the city to be reimbursed for certain costs that it incurred during this emergency. So staff is recommending that the council approve resolution number 2023-03, ratifying and proclaiming the existence of a local state of emergency. Myself and Mr. Bowden are available for any questions that you may have. Thank you.
Any questions of, basically it says that we have an emergency and from then on, we're like it's mentioned, we can, if there's any reimbursement.
Can't hear you.
Okay, sorry, Lenny. You heard the attorney. So we have the resolution that basically claims that we have a local emergency, then from then on, we can actually claim, or hopefully just claim expenses related to that.
Oh, yeah, 60 days. Mr. Bowden, Mr. Mayor, I apologize. Mr. Bowden reminded me that we're not asking the council to terminate this emergency once it's declared. Because we expect future storms and potential future damage, we want to leave the emergency open for up to 60 days, which is allowed under the government code. Council will have to revisit this issue within that time period to determine if the emergency can still be justified. And if not, it would have to terminate it. That's all. Thank you.
I think what's important that, and it's in the second page 2 of 3 down 3/4 of the way, it says the city administrator is director of emergency services. So so that order came from Mr. Bowden. So is there a motion, any discussion? Is there a motion to approve resolution 2023-03?
So this doesn't change nothing that's already here.
I'm not sure what you mean.
So does the resolution that we're doing is for the state of emergency?
It's to ratify the proclamation that the director made.
Okay.
Basically says the same.
Okay.
Yeah, if you do not ratify it, the proclamation disappears. And then, so it has to be ratified or not.
So I motion to approve resolution 2023-03.
I'll second that.
Okay, there's a motion and second, and just for the new folks, resolution, what we do, resolution ordinances, we normally we'll go by roll call. So is there any discussion on the matter? If not, we'll have roll call. Todd, please.
Mike, please.
Oh, so sorry.
Councilmember Christina Hernandez. Councilmember Gilbert Goldless.
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Eugene Costa Jr.
Aye.
New Councilmember Megan Lizaldi.
Aye.
And Mayor Harrison Julian.
All right, the resolution passes. Thank you all. Thanks, Phil. Okay, the next item is emergency occupancy agreement for displaced residents. Phil, you're on this one too.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Got this working now. We'll allow at this level is appropriate. Thank you. Chief Cash pretty much summed up the factual background during his report. Once the residents who were affected by the flooding after they were housed at the city auditorium, he believed that it was not practical or efficient for the city to continue to operate the temporary shelter at that location, and was investigating other ways of accommodating or providing the temporary housing for these residents. While investigating the scene near, I assume that's what he was doing, he happened to meet Steve Samolis at the apartment complex located at 824 Pioneer Street, which is owned and operated by Pioneer Street Apartments North LLC. Mr. Samolis is the manager of that LLC, so effectively he's the owner. The chief asked him if there was any vacancy. I'm sure he explained the situation with the residents and informed there was availability. As I understand it, Mr. Samolis and Chief Cash discussed terms for a proposed agreement to temporarily house the residents, and that included a deposit. Chief Cash believed that this was a viable solution, the best option available to the city at the time. And he believed he had the authority to incur the costs on behalf of the city related to providing temporary shelter, since he had activated the city's emergency operations center. Therefore, he subsequently met with interim director finance, Robert Peralt, and informed him about the plan. And requested that he issue a handwritten check for the deposit, or as a deposit, for the purpose of providing the temporary shelter for the residents. Mr. Peralt complied, and that was subsequently approved by the Director of Emergency Services, Todd Bodum. The check was in the amount of $7,000, and it was provided to Mr. Samolis by Chief Cash. Later that afternoon, sometime around 4 o'clock or later, Chief met with Mayor Julian and requested that he sign an agreement entitled the Emergency Occupation Agreement to provide the temporary housing. The agreement had been prepared by Mr. Samolis, and it provided that the 11 units would be made available at a rent of $220 per day, beginning on the 10th of January through the 31st. And that the total cost for this 3-week period would be $52,340. Once the agreement had been signed by the mayor, the displaced residents were allowed to occupy the units. A copy of the agreement was subsequently provided to me the next day. And I advised the city administrator that the agreement was not legally binding on the city unless it was ratified by a majority of the city council. I explained those reasons in some depth in the staff report, and there's no reason to go into that since they're adequately stated. As the staff recommendation for this report is not to ratify the agreement, but to ratify the payment of the $7,000 already paid to Mr. Samolis. And again, the reasons for these recommendations are explained at length. The city council is not required to agree with the staff's recommendation to reject the agreement. If that is what the city council wishes to do, there would be no need for the city council to ratify the $7,000 payment, since it is already required under the terms of the agreement. The council does decide to ratify the agreement. Staff will prepare a resolution with appropriate findings that the expenditure of the funds required by the agreement fulfills a public purpose such that the expenditure is not a prohibited gift of public funds. This resolution will be brought to the city council at the next meeting on January 24th. On the other hand, should the council reject the agreement, it may choose to provide direction to staff concerning whether to negotiate different terms for an agreement with Mr. Samolis, or it may just simply reject the agreement. Either way, the city will need to decide in that case whether to ratify the $7,000 payment made to Mr. Samolis. That concludes my report. I'm available for any questions.
I'd like to chime in on a certain few things. One is that it's my understanding that $7,000 was a security deposit. Okay. And also that again, thank you. that $7,000 was security deposit. In fact, when we started out, there was when Mr. Samolis said he's going to be here, he is there to discuss these. We had 7 residents that needed a place. those 7 residents, or they were in the sidewalk across the street because they had nowhere to go. And for several hours, we were speaking with Mr. Samolis, with his attorneys. He didn't write up this thing. It was his attorneys, and you know how attorneys are, they get to be long-winded, which they should be. Because, you know, and speaking on behalf of the company, there's a huge liability on what he was going after. And so he basically wrote not him, but the attorney said, and we went back and forth, starting with 7 homes or 7 apartments. Those apartments, they're actually, it was designed for H2A, 7 individuals could live in there. It has 3 bedrooms, closets, kitchen, with a refrigerator and a stove and nothing else. It's basically unfurnished. A table with seven chairs, and also a laundry facility. But anyway, the individuals that he was going back and forth to see if it was okay. Given you know, it's mentioned, and that's why I wanted to call this to attention, is that Todd was the actual emergency coordinator, but this emergency coordinator was in Gilroy, on the other side of the water, so he couldn't be on site to see what was going on. So Chief and I promised Mr. Samolis that he would have my firstborn if we didn't approve this agreement. And he still can, but he's not going to. But you know, he went out of his way to make sure that we had a place to stay. The chief did too. It went from 7 individuals, and families kept coming up and say, I need a home, I don't have anywhere to go. So I went to 8. Then I went back to him and I said, there's another family that needed a place, so it went to 9. Then there was another family that came in, so it went to 10. And there's several people here that know more about it than I do, but there's 44 individuals in that site right now, 44. And I'm amazed at, and you can see where I'm leading. I think that it's important that we improve this. I gave him my word as first of all, as a man, but also as a council person, as a mayor, speaking in behalf of those people that we represent, which are down the hill and muddy, and in waist deep in water. So I felt that it was in the best interest and safety of our residents, and the 14 kids or more that were there had a place to stay. Again, we were waiting, the families were waiting on the sidewalk, we're ready to find someplace to stay. It reminds me of a parable. Parable is what Jesus said, you know, in many instances, but it's like there's a boat with 44 people on it in rough waters, taking on water, and the captain sees this dock, and they start paddling toward that dock, still taking on water in rough seas. And the harbor master was there on the dock, said, what do you guys want? We need a safe harbor. And he says, well, I'm not the owner of this dock, but there's a dock about 25 miles from here. It's around the peninsula. And the captain said, this boat's sinking and I need a place for my 44 or 46 people. So the harbor master went and talked to the owner of the dock. And the owner of the dock said, they can be here, but it's going to cost. And that's what happened to our situation here. So Steve was basically said, this is what the owner wants. And we said, we need, the captain of the boat said, we need these people safe, warm, and in a place that's not gonna, that they're not gonna lose their lives. People could have lost their lives in this situation, but they didn't. And you'll see, and that's why I mentioned to Chief that we need to come in our next meeting to really hone in on all the support that there was for this effort. I can't begin to name all the individuals that were part of bringing in bread, bringing in food, bringing in cooking. Marcus cooking for seniors and for those residents there. You know, so some of those folks that were there, they came into the senior center to eat lunch with no shoes, no socks, they're dirty, they're muddy from that instance. So Chief and I said, we're gonna do what we can to get people housed, and to us, the most likely place is right across the street. And there was empty rooms. It's H2A. This is the Steve and his group has a responsibility to his contractors who he's contracted with, and you just can't let anybody in there. We talked about what needs to happen. You can't bring in furniture because it brings in all kinds of strange things. There's just a lot that went down, and thanks to Steve, and he's here, and other people that are here too that speak on that behalf. But the amount, I didn't care about the amount. It could have been $1 million. I still don't care. I do care in one sense, but when it came to where these people needed to be, with clothing and food, there's no rationale to say you can't go here. You got to go someplace else. And people know in Guadalupe you can't go anywhere else with the lack of apartments. It's just not there. And in the short, and what happens today, there's the county Section 8 folks and other folks are there taking interviews with people. And my wife mentioned today that there's a family of there's two in one of the apartments. They're actually going to move out pretty quick because somebody found a house. They're going to move out. Our goal is to get them out of there. Our goal was to basically house them and then to get them on their way. What really upset me, and I'm sorry I'm on the soapbox, but really not upset me, but what was sad, there was one lady, and everybody out there knows it, that's one girl, her name was Diana. She's in the 4th grade. So she didn't go to school. So we were asking, why aren't you going to school? Well, my backpack got wet and destroyed her library book, and she was going to get in trouble because her library book was destroyed. My wife called the principal. The principal went over there to talk to that young lady and said, don't worry about that. You'll get a new backpack and all this stuff. So there's a couple of college students that lost their computers. Now there's folks gathering around those individuals to move them from that place of security. We need to secure it. We took care of that crisis. And I'm saying we, the city crew, public works, the police department, the community. You had people driving down, taking their own trucks down and picking up people and bringing them out of the water. And this happened at night. There's no lights on. There's one lady that's 5 foot. Water was up to her chest. Kids were being carried on their back. One was, I think, a week old baby. There was a week old. We had to move them into there. So they needed a place, and that's where we pushed this. And again, Chief and I, because Todd was stuck on the other side of Gilroy, in a water situation. So we made that decision. So you can whip both of us with a wet noodle, but this is the thing we did. So, and enough chattering on my side. Is there comments from this side? What's that? Yes. Yes. So, Mr. Samalas, thank you for being here. Thank you for.
Yeah, happy to.
You want to ask him a question? Or
Oh, I wasn't sure if he had something to say.
Oh, he won't. We ask him a question because he's the.
Actually heard from Salute Carbonell's office, like 5:55, that Biden did approve the emergency.
All right, cool. Right. I knew that was gonna happen, but that's why we said, go ahead and go with it. So.
I'm here if you need to ask me questions. Appreciate.
Yes, please.
I just want to say thank you. That situation, something that Mayor Harrison didn't mention also was that storm was still coming. So that night that happened, we were actually due for another night of rain and pouring. And I feel like this might piggyback on what Chief Cash was saying in terms of learning that maybe we need a backup to city administrator in order to decide who's gonna distribute those funds, because I feel like relying on one person is really unfair to the administrator too. You know, I feel like that needs to be reflected in whatever report we do, that there needs to be a second. Most emergency preparedness plans have a chain of command that go down. If that person is unavailable, then chief is now in charge. So I feel like if anything, it's a learning opportunity. And I feel like it sounds like everyone made really thoughtful decision-making in a really challenging time. So I just want to say thank you to everyone. Because it really did impact that. Diana is my student, and she was in tears. And so it was, you know, stories like that where it's really the human factor of this and how quickly this escalated. So thank you so much.
One of the things too, and we're not putting you on the spot, Steve, it's the chief talked to us in terms of the two legs of this unit, and that's where on his side, he's got all the responsibility of connecting. We were saying, where's Red Cross? Where is this? Where's that? What had happened is that there's somebody from Pasadena, and I forget her name, is connected to the Presbyterian Church in the Pomo. Grace, okay. She is a Red Cross trained RN. She called the church that same day.
Yeah.
And then brought clothes and food. She called Red Cross that she knew, and they brought the disaster kits. What we there's some of us that called the food bank to bring food for them. And so what we found out is that people, that wasn't our duty to do that. And we've got, don't do that. And I said, well, we had to do it. But then now there's a system in place to where Red Cross is called by the chief. Food bank is called by the Department of Social Services or somebody. The Department of Social Services came out, and there's a list of it, and there's a couple of folks that took interviews, that interviewed every family over there, got their names, got their addresses, got their phone numbers. And a group of volunteers went actually to door and say, what do you need? What do you need? And, you know, the food, the goods, the Salvation Army provided meals from last Tuesday on, 3 meals a day. The Los Amigos de Guadalupe and Marcos brought some cooked meals over there. And there were 3 meals to seniors or anybody that would go to the senior center at 12. But a lot of these people were working and trying to get there's 40, what is it, 42 unit, 45, the unit, the garbage bins. Oh. 44 yard bins that were dropped, roll-offs that were dropped there, so people had to throw all their stuff away because there's no place to put it. So if there's that, they're talking about that system, there's a gentleman that we talked about the CERT, Citizen Emergency Response Team. That's what we're talking about. Having Chief and I were talking, like, what happens is, where's the volunteers when they don't know, like you're talking about on your phone now, there's an alert that you can start moving forward. I'm talking too much, but there's people in the audience that I know were there, and I don't know, you don't have to stand there anymore, if there's any parts. We do.
Thank you.
But is there anyone in the audience that wants to say anything? There she is. You better say something. What's that? Yes, yeah. Yeah.
Good evening, council. I just want to say that a couple of times people have said to me, this is what leaders do. And I think that that's exactly the point. This is what leaders do. They make the tough decisions, and then you go back and see what we can do about that decision. Los Amigos de Guadalupe has been given $1,000 by direct relief to go towards this cost. And today the Santa Barbara Foundation was out and gave us another $10,000. So we have $20,000 and another $5,000 from the fund for Santa Barbara. So I just wanted to let everybody know that, because it is a lot of money, and I think we all feel responsible. And what we could do as an organization was go out there and ask people for money, and they gave it, and they'll give a lot more.
Well, I hope, thank you. Thank you, Alejandra. She's been there every day along with her staff. But I would hope that there's some compensation from that side in terms of what it costs us to actually house people there. To where that 25,000 could go to the next step of people. You need appliances, you need furniture. That's already happening. We're identifying folks, that are gonna be going into different homes that need, their furniture's gone. Their furniture's gone. It's in the dumpster, so it's gone. So that's the next step, is to look at how we transition those people into their homes. And as we know, the availability of places to live in town is tough. There's just another instance, there's a family that's there that has, the husband and wife. It was such a small room that they had to, the husband had to be in one room that was $900 and a couple kids, $900 a month for his. He had to rent, his wife had to rent the second room for another $900, so $1,800, and they were in separate rooms. So that's, our housing is anywhere, but especially here in Weatherford is pretty tough, so. Okay, anybody else out in the audience want to say anything? Please. Oh, the Mixteco group, you know.
Yeah, we have, we work, with, the families that are affected. I work for Little House by the Park. And I came in as a staff through Little House by the Park, and we brought some of our Mixteco staff to assist with the interviews and all that good stuff. But I wanted to speak as a community member. I own a business here in Guadalupe. I also work in Guadalupe, and I spend most of my time here in Guadalupe. I work at the Montecito Center for Recovery and Rebuilding, and seeing that disaster kind of gave me the experience of working a disaster, gave me the experience. And honestly, I want to give you guys kudos to the mayor for stepping up so quickly, because that is the first thing that these people are going to remember. That's the thing that they're going to remember. Who was there at the time of need? So with that said, the efforts in this small town have been amazing. The people coming through, you see people from all over town. I mean, you see, you know, people from the GDA, people from Los Amigos, you see people from the county. I mean, the CEO of the county came down yesterday, Mona, and she was amazed, you know? So, yeah, I'm very impressed, and just FYI, I do have a contact for the Bucket Brigade. And they offered to come help clean up as well.
Wow.
So I will give you that contact, and we'll keep being
Give it to
resilient.
him.
Yeah, but I am amazed, and I'm thankful, and I am glad to be here in this community, so.
Is it Eunice?
Yeah.
Thank you, and I think we'll hold on for Trisha for also supporting during that time.
Yeah, they sent over some meat for folks, so.
Yeah.
Excuse me, can you say your name for the record?
Oh, Eunice Valle.
No, yeah, can you spell it?
Oh.
No.
EUNICE, the last name Valle, VALLE.
Thank you.
Okay, back to the council.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes,
if I could, I just have a couple of comments I'd like to make as your finance director, if you will. I have to, at present, I bear the responsibility for seeing how monies are paid, and that's kind of important. I would suggest that along with your consideration of the ratification of the agreement, that you direct me to return with an appropriation resolution that would end up appropriating the necessary funds from the general fund reserve. At present, as of October 30th, that reserve was not huge, but it was $588,000, and I expect it's probably gone up a little bit since then. I'm looking at November figures right now. The other thing I might suggest that you consider as part of the ratification, I know that there's a need to get people moved on, and this is only going to be good for 3 weeks. And at the end of that 3 weeks, people are going to need to go somewhere. During that period, there may in fact be, fortunately, people that'll move out. And some units may then be vacant. What I was asking you to perhaps consider is that if you're going to ratify the agreement, the total amount be a not to exceed amount, and that if there are vacancies, they be taken into account in the final calculations. Thank you.
With that, in terms of what was declared as a disaster area through FEMA, wouldn't we need to submit some data in terms of the cost, the
Yes.
spreadsheet? So
Absolutely,
Okay.
and for the whole event, thanks to Chief Cash and some assistance that we've gotten today, we're beginning to track costs for the entire event. In fact, when I bring that appropriation, it may not be just for the housing amount, but it may be in a little bit greater than that to begin to set aside the funding, at least that we need to meet the disaster expenses themselves. I will point out that FEMA reimbursement, it may come, it may take some time, and we won't be sure until the entire event is washed out how much of that.
Don't say that.
I know, but I just have to let you know.
Okay, no. Thanks for bringing that up.
And I just one thing is that the chief, Jan and myself, we've been in contact with various groups for housing options for them. So just to throw that out there.
Well, there's a great deal of, with Section 8, with County Housing Authority, Bob Havlicek.
Yeah.
He sent his folks in, somebody identified, and I'm maybe speaking out of term, but like 4 units that are maybe available. So one individual that was there applied for Section 8 several months ago. So I think they're kicking that up in terms of where it needs to be.
Mr. Mayor, just one thing, I kind of want to, I don't even know the word, I want to agree with interim director Peralta and emphasize how important it is that if you do decide to ratify this agreement, that you get one provision stricken or modified, and that's the provision in the agreement that requires 10 days notice to terminate the agreement. I think it's very important not to pay for empty units. And I'm sure that Mr. Simolis, as a reasonable man, would agree to such a modification if he chose to ratify this contract. You'll probably want to ask him that on the record, though.
Okay. Is that a problem, Mark? Okay.
Yes, I'm on that.
Okay, good. There may be one empty one tomorrow, so. We're working, okay. All right. And this guy, since you're standing there, to make use of the laundry room, 4 washers, 4 dryers, and right there where people live, that's amazing. And then when there's problems with, there wasn't a minor problem with it, we talked about it yesterday about the ducting for the heater. We found out about it, he's gonna move on. I don't know if you've done it yet or not, but it's still
Right now.
okay. Okay, but thank you for being here, thanks. So let's bring this back to the council for any discussion. Oh, I had one more point, and Steve, we're talking, we added people. This 4,000 security, 7,000 security deposit. Are you gonna ask for us for more for the other rooms, or? Because we added rooms as we went along, so there was.
I mean, that's what the agreement says, but I'm not gonna hunt you down for it right now.
Okay, we won't hunt us down.
Seems like the people in there are taking care of the place.
Okay. Okay. All right, and our volunteer said they're gonna clean it, they have high standards, and I was amazed that, first of all, Carvajal, and also with Senator Limon was here, and Greg Hart, our local supervisor, the senator was here, not supervisor, but our representative. They were amazed at your units. And they would like you to probably build others, in the area.
I'd like to as well.
Okay.
You know, I think it's a nice thing to have.
Okay, but for people too, not just H2A. Okay, all right. Okay, any comments from staff? Any comments from the, we have two issues or two items. Before us.
Mr. Mayor, just one item really, if, at least at this point, we need to decide whether to ratify or reject the emergency occupancy agreement with the modification as agreed by Mr. Samolis. If you do that first, then there's no further excuse me, if you vote to ratify, then there's no further action required.
We'll ratify an agreement to both move as per the agreement.
With the modification that Mr. Samolis agreed to on the record.
Okay. He spoke, he said it doesn't matter.
In the minutes.
Okay. Is there a resolution? I'm sorry.
No, this is just an action by motion.
Okay, so there's a motion to ratify the proposed emergency occupancy agreement. Is there a motion to that effect?
A motion to ratify the emergency occupation agreement with,
It's the what is it?
The modification.
modification from, Mr.
Samolis.
Samolis.
I'll second that.
Any discussion? All those in favor of the motion, say aye. Aye. All ayes. Thank you, Steve. Thank you all. Thank you, volunteers. Thank you, the little house, Los Lobos, everybody that was there. Yes, please. Mother.
Evening, I have to cut out, but I wanted to just start off Mita Yapina with Family Service Agency, Little House by the Park. I just wanted to thank you guys for stepping up in a way that I don't think that some of our community members that were really impacted by this have seen. I feel like a lot of them have lost faith in just any kind of local civic participation engagement. I want to say about half of the families that were impacted are some of our regular participants. So really hit home, and it was just really great to see everyone put aside all of their personal agendas and just kind of go and support. Just also really excited to see people being supportive of this housing piece. In general, these people are already suffering with looking for housing, so this is just another layer of hardship. So yeah, it's just been really great, and I hope that we continue to seek funding. I know there's a lot of resources and funding happening right now. I really hope to see this in like a month. So all these efforts just to keep the momentum and for all of us to do our part so we can provide them, if it's not with maybe support with like a security deposit, furniture, anything really does help these families. Some of the pay stubs I see sometimes, I'm like, how do you function?
Or any
Yeah.
pay stub, when they don't have a pay stub.
Or they don't have a pay stub and they have little kids, and it's just been very eye-opening. And I think also for that water bill, I think there was a couple comments about adding that number, so we can all just be updated. Maybe if we do want to have a planning meeting, that I think is important, maybe we can also throw a date in there, just to kind of get that physically in front of a lot of people that sometimes find it hard to participate in these meetings. So again, just thank you so much for all of your efforts. Thank you. Thank you.
Did we vote on it? Yeah, we did.
Yeah.
One quick note, and I heard it from, I didn't hear it directly from him. I heard it through the grapevine that there was a request to help for the people there in Orchid that got hit. And they needed help, and they said, well, we need things in boxes, new things. We got a lot of new things over there, but we got a lot of gently used things for individuals, so. This is a special community, and it stepped up, and thanks, Chief, you can maybe sleep tonight, maybe not. Another thing, you're Betty, I keep referring.
Debbie.
Debbie,
She's right here.
oh, is she, you know, if people were to see how the kids just bonded to her. They were always looking for you. They weren't looking for you. They were looking for the dog. And the ball. Did you bring the ball?
Oh.
Did you bring the ball?
That was the little young lady. She was my assistant.
Yeah, Diane.
It's like, it's so interesting. I know who little Debbie is. We want her to come to the school on a regular basis. Because
Yes.
we find that, well, a lot of kids are going through, you know, even if you weren't necessarily directly affected in losing your home. There were other streets that were flooded. There were people that had leaks in their roof. There were people that had leaky windows and flooring. So even though they may not be displaced, it is still very scary for children in the community when you go through something like that. And so we were actually just talking about little Debbie the other day.
Give me a date.
Okay,
She
that
goes
sounds great.
anywhere. You give her a treat, she'll do whatever.
Same with my dog.
Given that, county mental health was there, you have a counselor at the school, youth counselor from family services, they went over there. So there's a connection of it, because when you're listening to all the storming in my home, it's, you say, what's getting wet out there? Can you imagine, some lady a lot of people went to work today, and she came back. And, the lady mentioned there's so much mud out there. And can you imagine going to work in the mud, having to do this, and, so, anyway, let's go on to the next item, so, thank you all for that. We have a regular schedule. Yeah. Okay, you know, I don't know about, I would like to table this one.
Okay.
That's appointment of council members to various boards. We'll give individuals enough time to check out their schedule. Right now, I am on a lot of the boards, so that's good. So sometimes it's good. Go ahead.
You want the next meeting a week from now or later?
Later.
Okay.
Yeah.
We're planning on doing the required ethics training in a public session. Well, it'll be a special meeting for that. So that's coming in February. Would you like that before or
Yeah,
after
let's do it.
the appointments?
Can we do it then, or do we? Let's do it.
No, we could do it then. The training's 2 hours.
No, let's do it.
Okay.
Let's do it another.
You want to do it after the training?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
There's no mad rush for that. And what that is there's about 10 different committees that we participate in, we go to the meetings and bring the information back, so. It's defined in your book there, so.
There's 8 of them.
8?
Yeah.
Okay,
Great committee.
yeah, 8 great committees, yes. Next time is future agenda items.
That's one of them.
On the package, we have future agenda items. Somewhere on the package.
505.
Yeah, and what happens there is that there's a council member that would like to add something that's a burning issue. Normally I'll talk with the staff about the agenda, so if you see something that you would like to put on the agenda that isn't on the agenda, then we'll call it forward, so. A lot of you are in different facets of the community, so if there's something that you see that we need to talk about in the. How'd your parking go today, speaking of?
That's what we need to talk.
No, my part
That's
was
what we
great.
need to talk.
Did it?
It's great. That's on my notes. I recommend it.
Is that on our future agenda item? Is that-
No, that's
No.
something that-
Okay,
So I'd like to see if we can bring to the table the closing of 10th and Obispo and 11th and Peralta and come up with some better ideas on how to make that work a little bit better. We didn't get a chance to talk about it before, you know, and I've heard some comments that is being pushed back, that is the city's doing and not the school, and so I would like to bring that so we come up with some better ideas for it. And I'd also like to see if we can bring up, we are very limited in parking in certain areas around City Hall with the school. If we might be able to put, since there's abundance of employee city parking, if we might be able to put a sign stating that that's city parking from a certain time to a certain time, and opening up for staff that work in the adjacent area that aren't city employees. Along there's.
We'll just put it on the agenda.
We'll put it on the
Yeah.
agenda.
You wanna talk about?
He's pre-selling it.
And then, I'm not sure if it's something that goes, but I'd like to see if there's a policy or something where when we have an emergency like what happened down here in Lower Pioneer, that I know Brown Act comes into play in a lot of things, but if us council can be notified right away,
Yeah,
you know, because I would have loved to have known about that. I didn't know till I went to work the next day and we was driving around looking at areas, but I like to be aware of something that's happening at that point, you know, because this is our residents and, you know, being a community member and leader, I want to be able to be informed on those things. So I don't know if we gotta do a policy. for that
yeah,
or
you
something.
know, I think it's a good idea, because everybody, all the council needs to know, because you're gonna be asked questions, what's going on? How come there's 11 streets shut? How come this? So we need to look and see how we can at least let the council, or maybe even that information we're talking about on the web that they can get, or if the council, if the.
Maybe when we revisit our emergency.
You see it in the water bill.
But if we
information.
revisit our
I don't look at the water, but I just bring it.
All right, announcement, city activity reports.
I had an agenda. item.
Oh, okay, sorry.
Yeah, I was wondering if we can bring up an update on the CUPs or dispensaries and the processing plant. If we can
Oh,
get
yeah,
an update for us on the next meeting.
sure.
We are, excuse me, Mr. Councilmember Robles, the emergency delayed us a little bit, but also other factors. We're planning some two major cannabis related items for February 14th right now. Would that be soon enough for the update?
That'd be perfect.
Okay, thank you.
Oh, I'm gonna move on to office.
Yeah.
Oh, my wife's gonna like that.
It's a great date.
Gummies,
You good with, we'll give you time, but you can call in, you can let the.
we can always add to it, you know.
Okay,
Yeah.
perfect, thank you.
I'm sitting here, so, any,
Yeah, SB Can is doing some water quality testing and they are trying to create community scientists. They will be doing a virtual teaching people how they can test our waters out at the Santa Maria River. And that one is on, I believe, January 23rd. If you go to SB Can, you'll be able to find out more information, but I think as residents of Guadalupe, it's important to know about our own watershed. Where's our water in order to protect our waters for future generations. And then also I wanted to see if Hannah could maybe mention about the Ball Powder Dam. I think it's important that we all support our recreation, so we can continue to see programs like this, not just for our families, for our youth and every resident. Yeah.
good. All right, there's the German to successor agency board meeting. We have two hats. One is the successor agency and the other one is city council. So we have to adjourn this one to go to that one. So is there a motion to adjourn to this successor agency board meeting?
I motion to adjourn to our successor agency board meeting.
I second.
Second, any discussion? All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
All ayes. So do we need a break or are we gonna go? Is it a long?
You can, Gary.
Is it long?
It's short, it's short.
Yeah.
It seems long, but it's short.
Go ahead.
No.
Biological break?
Okay.
We're gonna do a 5-minute
Okay.
biological break.
We're gonna take a break, Joy, and then I'll be right back.
Okay.
Hey, don't be.
You don't have any ethics, I know that. Yeah, hi. Things are good. How are you doing?
It's you. No, I think it's you. Yeah. Oh. Did you get it? Oh. Where we- Order in the court. Order. Order. Oh, yeah. Yeah, make a motion. Adjourning to open session. Adjourning this session. Here is your recording.
Yes, please.
Back on. Yes. On that. Okay.
Thanks, Alejandro. All right. Joy.
Yes, good evening. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Good evening, Mr. Mayor and members of the Successor Agency Board. My name is Joy Otsuki. I am newly appointed Special Counsel to the Successor Agency to the Redevelopment Agency of Guadalupe. The item before you is the recognized obligation payment schedule for the 23-24 fiscal year. The recognized obligation schedule under the dissolution law is the methodology by which the successor agency requests redevelopment property tax funds to pay for its enforceable obligations. The enforceable obligations listed on the ROPS, which is the spreadsheet that you'll find kind of behind the report, does not include any new items. It provides primarily for payment of the bonds and costs of maintaining and disposing of the real property that's currently held by the successor agency. It also includes an administrative cost allowance, which provides for the administration of the successor agency and the various activities that are required to keep it going and to work forward to dissolving it. And that number has gone up a little bit, but it's the maximum amount permitted by the statute. Staff is recommending that the board adopt resolution. Now I just lost the resolution number, excuse me. 2023-01, a resolution of the successor agency to the redevelopment agency of the city of Guadalupe approving the recognized obligation payment schedule and administrative budget for the July 1, 2023 through June 30, 2024 period. That concludes my report and I'm available for questions.
Okay, I have a request. In 15 seconds, can you explain why we have this and where it started with the redevelopment agency?
Redevelopment agencies were a function of California law dating back to the 50s. In 2011 and 2012, the state decided that the property tax that was going to redevelopment agencies was more appropriately used for other things, primarily education. And therefore they dissolved all the redevelopment agencies in the state because a lot of them have bond obligations, contaminated properties, a number of ongoing activities. They established this ROPS so that the successor agencies can continue to collect property tax funds until they're dissolved. So it's sort of like having a company in bankruptcy. You're allowed to collect money and use it for only very specific things. And once those things are done, you can't make any new commitments. How was that? Okay.
Just locally, what on our redevelopment money, the city, we kept some of the money that should have gone to these other obligations. With that money, we actually spent about $3 million on the retrofit for the downtown area. So all those it's not the bus, but unreinforced masonry. So the city actually said, okay, we have $3 million. So we'll give you, this landlord, and well, I think there's 23 of them. They gave them a couple hundred, about 150,000, 20,000 to retrofit the building to where it was, that you can get out of the building in 30 minutes. Instead of the building like in Paso Robles where the building fell down. and killed people. So that redevelopment money went into those things, so that's where. The next step would have been, I think we were gonna increase the amount of redevelopment money that we were gonna get. Then the governor decided, well, let's give the money to the schools, which is good, but not to the cities. So that's why it's closed down. We had the Royal Theaters, some of that redevelopment money, which we've been spending to further the new theater.
Al's Union.
What's Al's Union? Al's Union, that's part of the so that belongs to all of the entities that should have got the tax, so we sell it, then, but that's a long story. Thank you for. Okay, is there a motion, is any questions of Joy? If not, is there a motion to approve successor agency resolution 2023-01?
I'll motion to approve successor agency resolution number 2023-01.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
There's a motion and a second, any discussion? Roll call, real quick.
Councilmember Eugene Costa Junior, Mayor Pro Tem.
Aye.
Christine Hernandez,
Aye.
Megan Lazardi,
Hi.
Gilbert Robles,
Aye.
Mayor Julian.
All right, resolution passes. Thank you, Joy. Thanks for hanging on with us. Okay.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Okay.
Technically.
I motion to adjourn.
The six-
Second.
Second, okay.
Yeah.
You're not council members here.
All right.
They're agency,
Or agency, yeah, you have a different title as
Yeah.
under this formula, so we'll get to that.
So we're adjourned.
It takes a motion.
I motion.
Second.
Christina seconded.
Motion, in a second. All those in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Well, I'm sorry, who motioned to?
I motioned.
Gene.
Christina seconded.
Christina seconded.
That one, not any day. I was wondering, my daughter was saying.
All right. Yes, indeed. I
Really?
would say that was.
Zipper down.
Yes.
The idea. Thank you. Now we just gotta find something for the next house.
Well, reach out to,
Can't contract with you to do this on a regular basis?
usually my Tuesday nights are
It's just special Tuesday.
usually, I'm in the, Central Coast Lodge of the Masons, and I'm an officer there, so that's my Tuesday nights typically, but.
That one Santa Maria?
No, that's what's carrying me. Central Coast is the one in HB.
Okay.
That was the merger actually between Rio Grande and Guadalupe lodges.
Her little friend with me.
Okay.
Seems that she gets along with
Good night, guys.
No.
Good night, thanks.
Night, Gil.
You should want to be at the next meeting though, because we're doing the vacant building thing that you sent a report on. And I quote that report in my staff report.
Yeah, well, I may have to beg off of Masons again. Because the vacant building thing is important.
I don't mind sending, once it's approved for the once the agenda packet's coming out in a couple of days, so look for it on Friday. It's finalized but not finalized, so it has to. Semi-finalized, almost there. So, but basically, I rejected one of the suggestions. Let me call up my draft. And I'll tell you right now.
Hey, I'll sit next to this guy, right?
Other than
Eugene?
there, we're very supportive.
Or are you gonna sit at the main table?
I keep having to add more
I'll be there.
storage.
Oh, I get it.
Adding up. Okay, vacant building, where is it? Okay, so I'll real quick summarize what I kept and what I didn't. Let's see, is it the unit of employers? Hope so.
Yeah, it's not recording anymore. So.
Good night.
Oh, yeah, let me kill that.